guys, my name is Brandon. Welcome to Audio Addiction, where you can find latest album reviews. You can find our band interviews, and you can find live coverage of the concerts that we get. I will be posting Slave sets along with Emerosa. Both of those sets will be going up really soon, as well as if you didn't check out our last video, The Hot Seat. It's a new series that I'll be doing maybe on a monthly kind of basis, or a little bit farther along than that, but kind of in that same area. So definitely check that out if you're interested. It was really fun. And definitely exciting to say the least. So if you enjoyed any of that, make sure to subscribe, make sure to hit that thumbs up. It really does go a long way, and thank you guys for your support. So tonight we're going to be talking about You Win Again, Gravity's new record, Anonymity. Haven't heard about this band, which I would assume you haven't. They were a band based out of the UK. They kind of have that mathcore, sort of metalcore, sort of post-hardcore vibes to them. I actually did an interview with them last year, probably a little over last year, and they were talking about that they were working on a new record, and I was really excited to get this one a little bit early, so thank you for that. I really was kind of interested. I heard a lack of clarity about a year ago, and I was excited that they were working on new music and they were working on a new record, so I'm excited to go through each track, give you my thoughts and opinions on it. I'm going to give some pros and cons on the record, and then give an overall rating to the record. So the first track is called Phonetics. This one happens to be one of my favorite tracks off the record. The intro definitely reminds me a lot of a mix between Tesseract and kind of Silverstein if they did something together. I kind of feel like that kind of marriage of two bands would culminate the sound of this sort of intro to the track. Really loving the chorus. It has this really interesting melody to it that keeps it refreshing and just interesting, in my opinion. I like the accenting screams. I feel like it doesn't take away from the singing a lot, which I would say is the primary kind of vocals from this band. There are screams, and they are throughout. There are some tracks that have a little bit more screaming, but I would say a majority of the album is based around the cleans. So I feel like it does do a great part to add some a little bit of grit, a little bit of diversity. So I definitely like that. Instrumentals kind of ride that line between sort of progressive music as well as post-hardcore, and even some math core vibes as well. Some of the different time signatures and just the interesting sort of rhythmic switch ups I thought were really interesting in this track. I really like the bridge a lot. It has this cool sort of ethereal feeling to it, and I definitely feel like it breaks up the track very well, and I'm absolutely loving the ending of this track. I really feel like they ended it off on a really strong note, in my opinion, and I definitely feel like it's a great opener to this album. So we're gonna move into track number 2, which is Grace and Focus. I like the cool ambient intro that kind of blends well with the outro of Phonetics. I always love when bands kind of do that, no pun intended, that seamless sort of integration of different songs throughout. I feel like it definitely adds a sort of collectiveness to the album, so I definitely appreciated that approach. I liking this sort of slower ethereal parts of the track, more melodic based stuff in the first verse. I thought the chorus was really solid in this track, definitely one of the better ones. I also thought that they added this sort of sneaky sort of breakdown in at between the 1 minute and 48 second mark to the 2 minutes and 8 seconds. It was super cool, and I felt like it was completely unexpected, even through multiple listens. It definitely came as a surprise to me, at least. Liking this sort of heavy chugs against this sort of melodicness of the leads in this track, and again, it adds that sort of juxtaposition between the song and just the makeup of the song. So to me, I feel like as a listener, it entices me to continue listening to this track and enjoy it. It was a great kind of combination of, again, heavy and melodicness that you would love in this track, in my opinion. So we're gonna move into track number 3, which is Seamless. This one is another favorite of mine. I was definitely expecting something totally different based off of the intro of this track. It definitely felt much more syncopated and just interesting. I thought that it was going to kind of go in more of a post-hardcore direction, but it wind up going into more of a melodic direction, much like Grace and Focus. But I thought it was an interesting change to have that sort of softer side of the verses as opposed to maybe going the direction of the intro, which I feel like in a lot of these tracks it kind of they trying to change the pace up, which to me, just listening to it multiple times, I thought it was just an interesting way to keep the I guess the attention span of the listeners in this track. So to me, I definitely feel like they did a great job in that. The chorus is really interesting. Again, with the sort of melody changes, they do this a lot, which I thought was really cool. They might go to like a note that you wouldn't expect, or they would go lower, or they would go higher in sort of a interesting melodic way that I wouldn't say it sounds like harsh in any way, but it's definitely you can tell that if you were gonna hit the right note, it would have sounded kind of the way it should sound. But I like that they changed it up. I like that they did something different and that it's not hitting the same notes. So every time I'm listening to it, I'm like, oh wow, that sounds really cool. So definitely enjoyed that. My favorite part of the track is definitely where the vocals lie. I feel like there is a great diversity and range from "You Win Against Gravity." You win again, gravity. Sorry, that was a terrible joke. But anyway, I feel like they just had a really diverse range in this track. There was some great tracks that had that sort of lower register, and he's got some really good highs as well. I would have liked maybe a little bit of falsetto, honestly. Otherwise, I feel like it's great. I feel like it reflects, the change in the tracks very well. Just the way that they go from different parts, in the track. I feel like the vocals kind of, flow throughout all of them, all of the different sort of changes and iterations. So definitely enjoyed that. And then there's this really great gnarly breakdown at around the 2 minutes and 55-second mark to the 3 minutes and 23-second mark. And I definitely feel like it finishes out cool, coming kind of full circle with that sort of intro riff. They finished it out with this track, which I thought was kind of a pure genius moment in my opinion, and I really enjoyed this one a lot. So we're gonna move into track number 4, which is "I Learned to Stop Asking." This one was an interesting one as well. Vocally, it feels very different from a lot of the other tracks. This one has a kind of back and forth vocally, especially in the intro. I feel like the track starts off on a more melodic side and then becomes more rhythmically based over time, which is really cool. I like this sort of cool little tappy guitar riff in the bridge. It has an interesting vocal arrangement to it as well. I really feel like they utilized more of the sort of screams in this track, in my opinion. Loving the sort of ending with the harmonies and the lead guitar parts. I feel like it makes the track interesting as well. And I just like the overall tonality of this track. It might not be one of my favorites, but I do appreciate the sort of diversity that was kind of displayed in this track. They did a little bit of things that are different, and I feel like it worked in this one. So we're gonna move into track number 5, which is "A Lack of Clarity." Like I mentioned, this was the first single that they released, and it happens to be one of my favorites as well. I'm loving the track, vocally speaking. I definitely feel like it's one of my favorites off the record. I'm liking the usage of, again, interesting vocal melodies. I feel like they have a really cool way of integrating different sort of melodies throughout. That don't sound typical to anything. They really kind of switched it up, in my opinion, and I just love that the way that they go about the melodies in this track. The instrumentals definitely have some heavy aspects to it, but I also feel like it showcases its melodicness as well. More specifically, at the 2 minutes and 42-second mark to the 3 minutes and 14-second mark, it has that sort of very Animals as Leaders sort of feel, but definitely with vocals towards the end of that sort of time period that I marked off. But really enjoyed that. I thought it was an interesting sort of change of pace to this track. And then There's this really cool guitar solo at the 3 minutes and 47 mark to the 4 minute mark, which I thought was cool. And the ending is really heavy and it has this sort of rhythmicness to it, which I thought was interesting. And I love the way that they just finish it out on kind of a strong, hard note, in my opinion. So we're going to move into track number 6, which is Swept to the Waves and Lost. The intro feels very Protest to Hero-esque, in my opinion. Really loving the chorus a lot in this track. I feel like the vocal sort of structure in this one was really interesting as well. I also enjoyed the sort of change up in the second verse. I thought that was interesting, as well as the more melodic it gets, the more heavy it gets and kind of progresses throughout the song. I appreciate the sort of progression as well, just throughout the track in general, through, vocals, all that sort of stuff. I really thought they did something interesting with this one. And just with how often the track changes, I feel like, considering that it's a longer track, I really feel like they kept the attention on this one. Sometimes, when I listen to a longer track, they can be kind of overbearing because, they want to try to do a lot, or they want to make it like real ethereal, or, take their time with it. And a lot of the times it doesn't come out the way, at least in my opinion, how they envision it to come out. So I feel like in this case, they did a really good job of kind of honing in on that, but also staying true to, what they know and what they do best. So we're gonna move into track number 7, which is a Sullen sketch. This one is one of my favorites as well. Loving the addition of piano, especially in the intro with the drums. I feel like it offers a unique change of pace to, this track. A lot of this sort of intros have been a lot of guitar based, or just interesting sort of arrangements in that regard, but I feel like this one, they really kind of hit home on this one. Loving the instrumentals of this track. I feel like they are just the highlighted part and the best parts of the track, in my opinion. Loving the sort of more melodic verses against the sort of heavier parts that fill up sort of the rest of the track, and then they just balance out very well. And I feel like, each melodic part is balanced out with, either a sort of heavier rock part, or just, post-hardcore part, which is cool. Also liking the part between 2 minutes and 10 seconds to the 2 minutes and 49-second mark. Just that riff sort of breakdown is definitely my favorite part of any of the tracks off this record. I feel like it was just well executed and has that sort of rhythmicness to it, but also has this really great just vibe to it, in my opinion. Loving the ending vocally. I feel like it was really cool with those sort of odd, vocal melodies and harmonies, which I've been harping on throughout this review, but I feel like it's a really crucial part to a lot of the songs in this track, in my opinion. So we're gonna move it into the last track, the title track, which is Anonymity. This one, I feel like it starts off with some really great energy, but I feel like, much like the last track, a lot of this track is, instrumentally based, and they even go through a span of the track that has just kind of instrumentals to it. It almost gives me that sort of Silent Planet vibe, where it's very, ethereal, it's very ambient, which I appreciate. It definitely becomes, again, more of an instrumental piece towards the middle of the song, which I find interesting as well. But at the sort of 7 minutes and 43-second mark, I feel like it's a really long track, and to me, I feel like it didn't hold its balance as well as, like, I Swept the Waves and Lost. I feel like, to me, it just went on just a little bit too long, or they could have changed up something, maybe added some, vocal diversity, maybe, do some cool little, like, vocal runs, or, instrumentally they could have done something interesting as well. It just feels like there's a bit of a lull in the track, and the sort of beginning and the end sound much better than the sort of middle section of the track. It really doesn't have anything that just is ear-catching, that just has that sort of pizzazz to it, in my opinion, and that was just through multiple listens. Again, I feel like it lacks a little bit of polish and a little bit of refinement, but I do appreciate the attempt to do something longer I know long tracks are typically not liked unless, it's a really good one where it really kind of captures the attention of the listener. So to me, I feel like this one was just a little bit lackluster. I like the approach. I love the beginning. I love the end of the track, but just that middle portion, I like that they went the direction of instrumental, but in my opinion, I feel like it was kind of a negative. They really didn't offer anything that was exciting to keep the track moving at a consistent pace, in my opinion. So I'm gonna go through some pros and cons in the record. I feel like the whole premise behind this album is diversity. There are some tracks that, again, are a little bit heavier. There are some tracks that have that sort of melodic flavor to it as well. They have some longer tracks. They have some sort of, tracks around the 3-4 minute mark, which is always great. So I would say it's absolutely a well-rounded record. From listening to their EP to now, I feel like they've definitely advanced a lot more. They've taken a lot more influence. The sound production sounded pretty good as well too, and I just felt like the guitar writing, the bass writing, the drumming, the vocals, and the screams, they just really did a great job culminating all of those sorts of sounds together, and I felt like they fit well with the album. But unfortunately, there are some tracks that really just didn't grab me, in my opinion. I Swept to the Waves and Lost. I feel like that one was a little bit. I wouldn't say it was bad, but it definitely didn't it just wasn't ear catching to me. Anonymity was definitely one of the, in my opinion, one of the worst tracks off the record. It just didn't have that sort of vibe to it. It didn't have that sort of pull that a lot of these other tracks, that some of my favorite tracks off the record, that just had that sort of pull to it. I feel like it just needs to be reworked. It just needs to be tweaked, and definitely be up there again if they do decide to redo it, which probably not. But if they ever decide to do it, or maybe take notes from the next record, I feel like this one was a really good attempt. But you lose some of that interest when it is a longer track. So at least in my opinion, I would have liked to have a little bit more just pop, like just a little bit more pizzazz to it. It just was lacking in that department, in my opinion. So other than that, really great record from a really underrated band, in my opinion. Excited to see what they do next. Obviously the States is kind of a little bit a ways away, but hopefully really soon they'll be out here. I really think they combine really great elements of metalcore, progressive music, mathy sort of music as well, and just with the sort of rhythmic based things that they do, and then that sort of melodic tinge. I feel like, to me, they have that sort of unique aspect and unique qualities to their music that I feel like a lot of you will enjoy as well. So my overall rating for You Win Again Gravity's Anonymity, I'm going to be giving it a 9 out of 10. I think it's one that you should definitely go check out. If you are in the UK, I don't know if they're doing anything with the new album, but if you do see them, definitely go pick it up. Hopefully, I don't know if you guys will have CDs or not, but if you do, let me know. I'd love to pick one up to add to the collection of CDs, which you can't see. But definitely go check out this band. There will be links in the description where you can go find out about them. And again, if you live in the UK, go say what's up to them. Hopefully they'll be playing shows really soon. So let me know in the comments what your thoughts are on this record. Did you check it out? Do you think I'm right? Do you think I'm wrong? I'd love to have a conversation about this record. And if you haven't heard of them, again, go give them some love. It would be greatly appreciated. What we got coming up, a lot of great stuff coming up, hopefully soon. I'm going to see a bunch of really great shows. I'm trying to go see Issues this week. We'll see if that happens. If not, I will definitely be getting Devil Wears Prada, all that sort of tour. Devil Wears Prada, Veil of Maya, Silent Planet, and Thousand Below. I hope to be getting those out really soon. I'm going to try to get live video of them, which I'm really excited about. So, again, if you liked what you saw, make sure to subscribe. Make sure to hit that thumbs up. We also have a link to a merch store, so if you want to check out some merch and pick up some cool threads, that would be greatly appreciated. And thanks to You Win Again Gravity for letting me review their record. And I hope that you guys enjoyed my thoughts and opinions on it. I hope to be talking with you guys really soon. So my name is Brandon. We'll be talking with you later. Peace. Hey guys, hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching, of course. If you enjoy what we do, make sure to go check out the other series we do. We do album reviews, we do band interviews, and we do live videos, so definitely go check that out. Hit that subscribe button. It really helps our channel, helps us grow. Make sure to hit that like button as well. Go follow us on social media. That's all down below. We try to keep that as updated as possible. We also made a new website where we'll be posting photos of upcoming concerts and stuff like that, which you can go check out at audioaddictionmedia.com and come get your fix with us, guys. Talk to you later. Deuces.